Okay, we're live. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Off the Hook Outdoors Live. I wanted to say thank you for everybody that comes in to watch this tonight, and also to everybody that will be in here tonight and for future, for the replay and everything like that. But I want to introduce to you a really good friend of mine, City Sticker Chris.
What's up?
From his City Sticker channel. And we're going to be talking about what I think. I wanted to get this out there. So, Chris, thank you for doing sort of this. I don't want to call it an emergency live, but I figured it's it's good time. It's a good timing for the live, and I wanted to do it. And I asked you on a spur of the moment here within the last 45 minutes, and you said, yeah, let's do it. So that's how I roll, man. I just 100-mile an hour. Let's go do it now. Boom. So Chris agreed to do this live. We're going to be talking about frost seeding, and is it time right now to frost seed or not? As you can tell by the thumbnail there. I couldn't find City Sticker's new logo, so I couldn't put his logo in there. So I just wrote our name. So Chris, you're gonna have to send me your two logos again, because I think they got erased somehow. I have no idea how. I know I have the stickers, but I don't have. Hey Tina, how are you? But I don't have your artwork again, so you're gonna have to send that.
I'll send a couple over.
Yeah, that way we can I can use them for future, because we're gonna be doing some lives together. But then eventually, I want Chris to do lives on his channel, so we're gonna get him going on some lives this year, and maybe get us live fishing this year as well. So that's coming up pretty soon here. Chris will be up at the lake. We'll be fishing, smacking some largemouth and hopefully some smallmouth. But the point at hand right now is the frost seeding, Chris. So what I want to do is, is it time or not time right now? What's your opinion? I will let you go first, because you have been in the food plotting. I'm fairly new to food plotting, guys, like within the last 5 years. And Chris has taught me a lot, and Chris is very knowledgeable on food plots and plantings and things like that. So I am happy that he's here, and happy to have him as a friend, because I could always call him and get a quick tip or two. So why don't you go ahead and just have your you take the floor here with the frost seeding. Is it time right now, or should be or not? You know what I mean?
Okay, so in my area, it is not. It is not time for me, because the reason I say that is we do have some warm temperatures now, and they are going to get cold again here in the next week or so. So it looks like prime time, but the forecast is going to be for nothing but a bunch of rain coming, and possibly some snow too mixed in. But the reason why I say it's not time is because the ground is so wet right now already, and we're expecting more rain. I'm afraid to throw down seed too early and take the chance of it rotting. It could get, covered up and buried and not get any sunlight. Like, it's not going to germinate anyhow until the soil temperatures are above 50. So I'm erring on the side of caution. I do not want to throw out seed yet because of how damp it is. Now, come the end of March, we get through some of this rain time. We are still going to have some freeze thaw action then. And even if I didn't have freeze thaw action, I would not be afraid to just throw my seed out on bare dirt right before a rain anyhow. At that point in time, everybody gets freaked out. Oh, did I miss the frost seeding time? Don't worry about it. But now is not the time in my area. Now, if you move a little bit further south of me, like maybe Pittsburgh and below, it may be time for you. I'm not sure. I'm not there. I don't know the weather forecast there, but it definitely.
Hey Phil,
it's probably time for people down south. South of Pennsylvania. It's probably time for them. Okay. What do you think, Ted?
All right.
What's up, Peterson's? Indiana Chris, hi.
Well, we're in Western PA. You're north of me. So, and
Yeah,
I know your way, like just following you and your weather, like when we were talking all this winter,
yeah,
your temperatures were anywhere from 10 to 20, sometimes 20 degrees colder than our temperatures down
for
here.
sure.
Just this past couple weeks, I was like, hey, it's 50 down here. You're like, it's freezing up here. It's 30 degrees up
Yeah,
here.
I still got snow piles in the yard. They
Yeah,
haven't
all
melted
our
yet.
snow, is gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is the ground still having? If
it's
the
heaving.
ground is still heaving, then plant. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
question.
yeah. If that's a good indication that it's time to still frost seed if you still get some heaving action.
Yeah, and see, with me down here, I am not taking the chance even right now, even though it may be a little warmer right now, because I believe we're still, well, Sunday we're due to get some flurries, and we're due to drop down to about
Yeah,
30 degrees again.
I'm gonna look up my weather here right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and I'll do the same. But Sunday we're supposed to get flurries. I wanted to say thanks, Chris, for coming in, Dad, Mom, and Phil from Peterson's. Thank you guys for coming in. Anybody that's in behind the scenes here, thank you for coming in. We wanted to do this frost seeding live because I think the timing's perfect. Everybody's getting the itch. They've been sitting indoors, not doing much. There's been ice on lakes and people that don't ice fish, and the hunting is over. So people want to get out there and start planning, and they get that itch. But I just feel that a lot of people will throw their seed out now and will be very disappointed later, because even though Chris said the ground is heaving right now, but we still need that temperature
Sure.
to
I
get up
mean,
there during the
it's
day.
heaving. It's heaving, but you're not gonna get germination until it gets above 50. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then the temperature, that's soil temperature 50.
Mm-hmm.
That's not air temperature. When the soil temperature is 50 and above, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking soil temperature is going to be no lower than 50 at night at the
Mm-hmm.
coldest.
Yeah, because
So
you'll kill that seed if it goes below. You
that's
can have potential.
I mean, that's the only time you're going to get germination. So it's just going to be sitting there until that soil temperature gets up. So, like last year, my daughter got married in May and I rushed it. I put food plots in the week before she got married because I thought I was going to get so screwed up with this wedding and I wasn't going to have time to plan afterwards and all that. Well, that didn't happen. But anyhow, I put the seed in and then we got some freak frost at the end of May and my screening got killed. So the temperatures, the soil temperatures and stuff dropped in that time period and frosted. Not only did it frost the actual growth that I already had above ground, but the temperature of the soil dropped. So I got limited germination, stunted growth, and then it died because it got frosted. So basically, I have an oath now that I'm not doing anything like that till June, but I can frost seed, but I'm in no hurry. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I will ride it out. Like I'm looking at my weather here. I got it pulled up and I'm hovering freezing all the way to almost to the end of the month. I can see out to Tuesday the 24th on my phone here and I hover freezing. So I'm going to get that warm temperature in the day and then freeze at night. So I'm not in any hurry. Like I said, all you're going to do is let it sit there. And if it's sitting in water, standing water, or a puddle, or just damp dirt,
Mm-hmm.
you take the chance of the coating coming off and it rotting up, and you lose the
Well,
seed. So
well, those seeds that you're planting too, because we're when you're talking about frost seeding, and we're talking about like is now the time and all that right now. But hey, Kevin Hawthorne, thanks for coming in. We're planting seeds that are like grains of pepper. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
clover. Like they're very, very small seeds. It doesn't take much. They do need very little energy to go, but they also are very, very easy to kill off. Or you get some birds. You're throwing it out there. You're getting birds. Like
yeah,
what do you? I always like the frost seed heavier than people say. You want to do say per acre. 12 pounds per acre. I'm doing 15 pounds per acre, to be honest with you. They
yeah.
say, 10's being a little light. They're saying 12 pounds is what you should plant. I'm up at about 15 pounds per acre. Now, this year we're having somebody through the middle of our destination plot, our clover plot that I've been working on. They're taking out about 40 yards of it to do a gas easement, a gas line that they're going to be tearing up. So I'm out with that. So I'm a little heavy on the seed, but I'm going to add some seed up to my dad's plot to put that nitrogen in. You know, we talked about that, having that clover for like this year and next year. We're going to put that clover in the mix that I'm going to be planting, my off the hook blend from Jinxum. We're going to be mixing some clover for that, because 15 pounds is way heavy for what I'm going to be doing in my destination plot. So I'm going to take out about 3 pounds of that, add it to my dad's food plot in with my mix to, you know, provide some nitrogen for the plants and the brassicas here in, I know it's a little early, but we're going to provide some nitrogen to the brassicas in the fall planting. We're going to plant it now and then let it grow all summer, hopefully get some nitrogen in there. But we are going to be doing our soil test. And you said today that you sent yours in already?
Yeah. I collected them. I collected them like 2 weeks ago when we had a nice stretch of weather there, and they were still wet though. So I dry them out on cardboard, so you're not paying the extra shipping
for the weight.
So I let them air dry. I use Penn State's tests. They're $10 a test, so I did 4 tests. Put a check in the envelope for $40, and they weighed them. I always put extra in. If you get the pre-made sample packs, the tests themselves from Penn State, they include a baggie. But this year, when I went to the Penn State extension in my town here, they didn't have any on tap. Okay. So what they did, they gave me a generic form, and it just had lines on it basically, and you know, you had to tell them what each plot was named and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just took quart Ziploc baggies and I just filled up whole quarts. So I had 4 big quart bags of dirt, and there's going to be plenty there for sampling. Which How
much do you recommend to send to them?
More? They want, more obviously, but usually when they put a Ziploc in there, it's only like a cup of dirt.
Yeah.
Now like I said, I like to send them a whole quart, because here's my thing. I feel like the more you give them, the better the test will be.
Gotcha.
Especially if you only poke one hole per plot or something like that. Like I like to take multiple samples.
While we're on that, Chris, while you're doing that, just explain to that in your food plot. If you have a 100-yard by 100-yard food plot, explain just real quick while we're on this on the ground samples, how you do your sample from each plot.
So what I do personally, I just draw a diagonal line across my plot, and I take multiple tests across the plot in a diagonal fashion. That way, you know, you get a good mixture, a good ratio of dirt. Because what I do is I get a shovel, and I go down. Well, I get a spade shovel and I jump on it, and I turn it over, and then I take the dirt that's deepest. So you're talking like I'm getting down into the clay, possibly some of it sometimes. And anyhow, I'll go down about 6, 7, 8 inches, and I take multiple spots, throw that on a bucket, mix it all up, get out any stones or any stubble, anything, grass, any worms, grass, anything. Yeah. Anything. I take all that garbage out. But then, like I said, it was wet. So I put it on cardboard. I dried it out, and then I bagged it the other day.
Cool, Ray.
I sent it out. So
cool.
Yeah.
So you go down about 6 to 8 inches.
At least.
Should you do that? Is that recommended, or is that just what you do? I mean, if somebody was first starting out, you recommend that deep? Or
Penn State has 3 samples they want. They want you to, in the first option you have, they want you to check a box. It says, did you go 7 inches or less? And then they ask you, did you go 9 inches or less, or did you go 1 foot and less?
Okay.
So that's the 3 options they give you. So me, I'm looking at that thinking, okay, well, if they're asking me if I did 7 inches, that's what I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
going at least that much. You
Okay.
can go less, but
Yeah.
I go
Why?
7 and less. And the
Mhm.
reason why is depending on what crop you're putting in, you want to be testing what the seed roots is next to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be putting in like clover type things and brassica type things in the
Like
fall.
radish, turnips, things like that.
Well, those
That'll go deeper.
the I see my
Hey, dear corner.
the stuff I put in doesn't go that deep. So
Yeah.
I'm only testing 7 inches and less
Yeah.
because I plan on my roots only being my root zone being within the first 5 inches.
Yeah. Now my
So
daikon radishes will go deeper than that. They'll go the full 9. You know what I mean? If they get big
yeah,
enough to go down there.
if they grow down there and it's not compacted, you'll get some deeper roots, you
Yeah.
know. But if you're doing like corn, you're probably going to want to test a foot,
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing, But I just check the box for wildlife food plot
Yep.
for the code,
Yes.
because they ask you what code you want to
Yeah, because
use.
that determines what test they're doing on that then.
Yeah, because the first year I did it, um, they sent me back the results, and it was like off the charts, like weird. So I called them up, and I'm like, "What's going on with these tests?" And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, "Well, you check boxes for like I put down like clover, and they wanted to know what the crop expectation was, how many bushels per ton, and all." And I'm like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is that about? And they were like, well, are you row cropping? I'm like, no, I'm not row cropping. These are food plots. It was like, oh, okay, you misunderstood us.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't. He's like, next time, just flip the page over, and there's codes on the back.
Come
And he
on,
said,
Chris, you got to read the directions, right? We're all
well,
guilty. We're
it
all
was
guilty of not reading it.
yeah,
I
it
just
was
do it in
fine print
fine
stuff
print.
down on the back, and it said if it's just deer food plots, just check off wildlife code. And
Yeah.
I was like, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, that's
You
good
know,
to know. That's good for the listeners to
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Make
because
sure you're checking that out.
if they list clover or brassica or anything in their in what they expect to grow, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to test it like they're row cropping that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want them to do that
Mm-mm.
because they're going to give you some infinite number of freaking lime and fertilizer that you need to
10,000 pounds of lime per
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 acre,
acre. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get this bushel of corn,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
you just tell them you're just doing food plots,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're going to give you a general recommendation of what you need for
Cool.
clovers and brassicas and stuff.
So yeah, guys. So definitely get your soil test done. We just jumped into the soil test. We're gonna go back to what we were talking about, but while Chris was explaining the soil test, I wanted him to let you guys know what you should do to get your get your test done correctly for what you're planning. So, and mostly all of us, I don't think. I mean, people drill too, and I'm sure it goes a little deeper, like you said, with the corn or the whatever you're planting, soybean and stuff like that. So make sure you're checking the right boxes off. But the majority of us are checking the wildlife because we're planting basically broadcasting seed for the food plot.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's get back to the timing real quick. And for the new people that came in, like Deer Corner, Ray, and all them guys, we're talking about, and you can tell by the thumbnail that it's getting nice out. Everybody wants to get out there and start planting their food plots, for the summer. I don't plant summer food plots. The only thing I do is frost seed clover for a destination plot that I'm trying to turn into all clover. So there's something for them all year round. Just because of our budget, we can't plant summer and winter food plots. More importantly, when you want to grow your herd and stuff, the fall plots are what you're going to want to plant. That's the big one, because during the summer they have a lot of browse in your area. If your land is prepared right, you will have a lot of browse, and you don't really have to worry about the deer starving in the summertime, put it that way.
No,
But then
no,
once you're
everything's
coming around,
green.
yeah, but to build your herd up and to help them out, your fall plantings are much more important than your summer plantings. I'm just so you guys know that. Yeah, if you can do both, great. If you do both, that's awesome. You're supplying some food all year round. But then when you get into them fall months, hunting season and stuff like that, then that's when it really counts. Right now it's mineral time. Like if you're going to do anything, if you can't afford to do food plots, both food plots, put minerals out. Put your minerals out. Get a good mineral like a trophy rock or something like that, or your favorite mineral, and throw it out there and keep it fresh once a month. Go out there and just to get out. It gives you an excuse to get out in the woods, walk around a little bit, go dump some trace mineral or something like that. Chris, I believe you did that. I had the trophy rock out, the crush rock, and I dumped some corn out. And I'll dump corn out this year till April just to give them something for some energy during these winter months. But it's starting to warm up now. But the minerals are definitely important right now. That's the most important thing. So if you want to do anything that can help your deer, at least get out there and dump a bag of minerals out and keep it fresh about once a month. You want to do that. So that is that. Ever had any milk or mold spores in the plots? We're gonna get to that, Chris, in a few minutes here. Yeah, for sure. So stick around for that. But so the timing for me here in, I guess, Western PA, Southwestern PA, we're not planning food. We're not doing no frost seeding right now. Because I'm scared of the seeds sitting in the water, being too moist. Basically they get soaked and they won't grow. They'll die. So I'm going to wait till the end of March, beginning of April, to plant. Now, frost seeding, and Chris brought this up, and I wanted to sort of hit on this too, Chris, because I think you were spot on with this. Is in last year's when I really caught on to your little, your plan that you had. Now, last year, we can't really base our success. I mean, my food plots did okay, but we had a drought last year. So it was really tough going into the season, with the food plots and stuff. But mine did pretty well, but not as good or to their full potential. But, Chris said, you don't have to frost seed to get that growing through the summer. Like if you miss that window of the freeze thaw type deal, don't worry about it. Just throw it down. If you can just look at the weather and see when it rains or when the next rain's coming, and go out there and broadcast your clover and let the rain do the work for you as well, because the rain will beat it in too. Like you don't need that freeze thaw. Like a lot of people think frost seeding, you have to, it has to freeze at night and then in the morning get good. Now, you did mention it, your soil needs to be about 50 degrees for it to help germinate and start it germinating, or your seed's going to be there dormant for a while. So you definitely want to get it warm enough. But if you miss that freeze thaw, don't worry about it. Just go out there, find out when the next rain is, do it that day or a day before it rains, and that rain will beat it in the ground for you. Now, my thing is I don't like throwing, because right now from all the winter load being on, we just talked about this before the live, the winter snow load that was on your plots after you prepped your food plots, you had everything growing, everything was nice and loose throughout the hunting season because your roots are growing, the deer are in there eating, ripping stuff out, so your ground is loose. But when we had that snow this year, we had a lot of snow this year, guys, so that compaction and it freezing and melting and putting weight on it, it was like a big weight on your food plot, which causes compaction. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to run my disc very light, only an inch down, try to set that to scrape that up. So what I do is when I frost seed, I'm really sort of planting in the same sense, because I'm running a disc across it just to scratch it up a little bit to get some better soil to seed contact, or seed to soil contact in that situation. So I'm basically running my drag, running the disc on it, and not depending on it to freeze and open up and thaw and close up. I am scratching the surface and planting my clover in our destination plot. Just for you don't have to do that, I guess, but me, just from doing it over the past couple of years, it seems like the snow load or anything, it just compacts it a little bit. So I try to beat the dirt up a little bit and get the clover seed in there.
It's definitely not a horrible idea. I mean, you get stuff loosened up. Like I said, I went over today and I leaf blowed for 4 hours almost.
Nice.
Because
is that why you didn't answer the phone?
Yeah. Yeah, I was over there blowing leaves because the edge of my woods on the edge of my feet, my plots is mostly oak trees, and those are some big leaves, that lay. And I literally blew ton. I mean, had to be a ton at least. Had to be a ton of leaves. I mean, when I blew them off to the edge of the plot, I had like 4 feet deep of leaves on the edge of the plot, which is good because when I blew it off over there like that, that'll hold down some of the weeds too, but along the fence line. But yeah, it's definitely not a bad idea to get that stuff loosened up, because you have a lot of stuff matted down, flat, leaves compacted, stones. Did you ever notice how many stones come to the surface after your clover grows?
Yeah.
Like I have more stone than clover right now, I think. I wish I had like a stone rake or something
Yeah, me
because
too.
my lord, they're
We'll
so
be
it
walking.
looks like a rock garden.
Yeah,
But
we'll be
anyhow,
walking the plots and laying our driveway with more stone this year because that's what we
I
do. We take the stone out and line the pond at the exit of the water, our spring water coming out into the pond. We'll line some stone there from the food plots, and there's some divots from the winter, so we'll fill those
yeah.
divots in where we're driving up with the tractor. We'll line that all with the stone that we get from the food plots. It's amazing how much stone comes up, and every time you loosen the soil up, and there's some controversy with tilling, and we've talked about this, Chris, with the
Yeah.
tilling and disking of the top 4 or 5 inches of dirt. It's not good for the soil. You're killing the microbes, you're killing the worm, you're killing this, you're killing that. And we've talked about that. Now you'll see this craze on TV right now with these bigger channels and things like that are telling you do not disc, do the old
Yeah, they're all
drill,
no-till.
drill into the existing growing, use that as a
Yeah.
mulch bed and all that. I don't do that. I don't own a drill and everything. And we've grown. I mean, just go back to what the farmers do every year. They're tilling up their land every
Yep.
single year. And it's
Yep.
been growing like that and supplying us with food for X amount of umpteen years. So I don't believe that it kills the microbes and all that. Now I do believe it fluffs up the first couple layers of soil and it will settle back down. And it may form a little bit of a crust, but
Which you could.
it could do that. Now you get the J root. You have everybody talking about the J root, like your plant, your seed has enough energy to pop that seed and get up out of the dirt. Okay, but then your root system has to grow down. Well, if it grows down to a crust and it can't break that crust, your seed will make a J bend, and there's only so much nutrients. And I'm just going to do a 3 to 4 inch area. It may need to get down there 5-6 inches to break that to get to the other minerals. But I think you can combat that with your fertilizers and stuff throughout the year because it's a short growing season for that fall planting. So I think that J root, and this is just me thinking, and I'm no pro or professional, but if you got that seed in there the first 3 to 4 inches and it does stop because say you do have a hard pan down there and your root does turn to the side looking for like roots instead of you're looking for nutrients instead of going straight down. If you're putting your fertilizers, your foliar fertilizers or your fertilizer on the ground, there's enough mineral in there for that growing season of the 2 or 3 months that you're growing, your 45 to 60 day growing period, to get that enough of nutrients for that to grow good for you, for your deer. We're not supplying the world with food or anything. We're just growing food plots for deer. Of course, everybody wants to have the best food plot for their deer, but you don't got to go out there and spend thousands of dollars on a food plot, guys. You really don't. Chris and I, we have a budget of a couple $100 probably a year. You know what I mean? To do this. This year we're going with the liquid lime, and we're doing liquid fertilizer. But I believe you get more bang for your buck on that. I'm trying the liquid lime for the first time this year, so we'll see. But you don't got to spend a ton of money to do a food plot, guys. You really don't. Everybody thinks it's some work, but you can do it and you can have some food for your deer in the fall. Definitely.
So going back to what you'd said earlier,
Go ahead.
these guys at no-till drills saying
Yeah.
that we ruin the topsoil and the dirt and all that, but not all of them, but most of those guys use chemicals. So,
Yes.
like, I mean, I'm guilty of chemicals too on top of my tilling, but I mean, they're willing to use chemicals, and they're saying that doesn't hurt the biome and the earthworms and things too. I think that's kind of a double standard.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that.
Just saying, Now, some of these guys will totally go supposedly chemical free, till free. All they do is like a throw and mow type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay that they do that, but they're still going to get a flush of weeds and limited germination through that thatch.
I think you're right, 100%.
I don't think that they're going to get as nice of a plot as you do as actual going out and working dirt and planting correctly. I just don't think they're going to get as nice as stuff.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I've already dug down with a shovel. I mean, you're down 5 inches. I got worms and everything, so they're there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really test anything for the micros and macros and everything for the first couple inches. But your food plots, and I get why they're doing that. They're growing and they're trying to build the soil. You know what I mean? They're like letting everything guide. But to get that seed to bust through that thatch, it takes a lot of energy, and you're taking a risk of you put 10 seeds down. If you get three seeds to grow through that thatch, that's pretty much you're losing a percentage, I believe, of your seed when you do that as well. I don't care what anybody says. That's just the way I think.
They've done some tests, and I can't quote who did it, but I read some stuff where these no-till guys, they claim that they rebuild topsoil from the thatch.
Now, yes, Chris, and 1 inch is loose enough when you're frost seeding, like that time when you're supposed to frost seed. So I'm sorry, Chris, for interrupting. I just wanted to answer that.
So these I forgot what I was saying. The thatch.
With the thatch.
Yeah. So they want to build say, soil. Oh yeah, we're building topsoil with that residue. Well, the study that I read said that they built like a 1/2 inch of topsoil after X amount of years. I can't even remember what it was, but it was something silly like a decade.
Yeah.
So they're building a 1/2 inch of topsoil after a decade. Now, is that worth waiting 10 years for that? I don't think so.
For a 1/2 inch, I would say not, because your seed's going through that 1/2 inch already and getting down there. So what are they advocating?
Hey,
Anti. Yeah, I think you got to work with you got. I mean, a lot of people are like you see it on TV, like they're building for the future, like your kids. Okay, yeah, but I'm hunting deer next year, and I'm hunting deer the year after. I want something now. So I'm talking about, I'm like I said, I want to be long term, and that's where the woods and stuff comes into play down at our camp and stuff. Like we're going to be doing like canopies, growing more food in the woods and stuff. But my food plots are strictly for hunting for that year. You know what I mean? So whatever I can do, and whatever you can do, whatever you can make grow green out of that ground for deer that year is, as a hunter, not a conservationist, not a 10-year down the future thing. I'm saying now, we are planting our woods and our stuff, for years to come. But when you're making shot plots, and that's sort of where I'm at. I'm into shot plot. We have a destination plot a little bit bigger, but all our stuff is very small. We might have a total of 3 to maybe 4 to 5 acres total on 125 acres or 120 acres. So that's minuscule. You know what I mean? That's just to see deer and get a crack at a deer. That isn't to make every deer in the county healthy again and change the world. We're just looking for success and deer sightings and give them some help, so we're not trying to change the herd population. We're just trying to give them something to attract them. Basically, it's a detractant to our property. You know what I mean? Like some people that have acres and acres of fields that can manage deer, and they have nobody around them, or they have woods around them. Yeah, you can do stuff like that. But a majority of us don't have the land to hunt. A lot of people are on public, so you can't even plant food plots. We're just talking about getting something out of the ground there, the best of our ability, and adding the nutrients to the ground for that year works fine for us. I mean, I do agree with you saying 10 years for a 1/2 inch of soil. What is that 1/2 inch of soil doing for you?
Yeah.
You're almost better to go buy some soil and dump it on your food plot then. You know what I mean? If you're going to do that.
I've gone to people's property and they had such a small plot. That's what I told them to do.
Yeah, throw some
They
mushroom manure in there, till it in there to
buried,
get some.
like I went to this one place and the guy cut down a bunch of trees and left the stumps.
Mm-hmm,
He cut them really low,
mm-hmm.
and the ground was kind of depressed already. And I said, if you want to plant that, I said, you're going to have low lying areas with water.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're better off to call the local place in here and have screen topsoil delivered in a triaxle truck and dump it,
And then
spread that
spread it
all
even.
out. It'll build up the level
Mm-hmm,
so that you're not in a low spot collecting water.
mm-hmm.
And because it's impossible to have anything grow in standing water all the time.
Of course.
It can, some things can withstand standing water for a short period of time.
Yeah, like
You
your
know,
alfalfas and stuff like that could
some
do
of that
something.
stuff can take water for a while, but after a while it will just drown out. But I did that with sugar beets one time. I planted sugar beets and it was in a low spot. They
They're
came
tough
up
to grow
great.
already, huh?
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
but they came up real nice, but it was in a low spot. I got too much rain and it didn't drain off quick enough, and they all
Yeah.
just flopped over and died.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the plain sun, it was in full sun, so that wasn't the problem.
Yep.
But yeah, and I told this guy, I said, just call the guy and get a triaxle green topsoil dumped. You got an instant food plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because screened soil should have been treated and it should be weed free and all that jazz.
No seeds are in there, no weed seed or
It
nothing like
shouldn't.
that.
I mean, it shouldn't be. It should have been treated. So if it wasn't, I said plant it anyhow. Whatever comes up,
Then kill it.
kill it.
Yeah.
Kill it and plant. So whatever. Anyhow,
So Phil said, let me get this up here. I do want to answer this question, and I want to get back to Chris's question. Where the heck's it at? Show
hey, John.
it. So that's hunting and stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, it's John.
So hey Ted, hunting and stuff with J&J. This is Phil here. Sorry, I have been in and out. Plan on planning. We are going to get to that, and we will get to that in 1 second. And Chris, go ahead. Let's answer this question now. For Phil. And I'm planning clover. I'm planning Nisha's clover, Ladino, and everlasting clover this year in my food plot. So 3 clovers I am putting in my spring plot. That's all we do in our destination plot down there, because we're trying to build that plot up to a clover plot only. So that's the only thing that I'll be doing. If we feel a little froggy and want to go up to my dad's plot and throw some clover up there just to get some in there to produce some nitrogen for the fall planting, we may do that as well. But right now it's just going to be clovers. Chris, what do you plan on planting?
Yeah, that's all I'm putting in. I just put in clover in the spring. I mean, there's a spot out here out back. I might, in behind camp, I might put in some buckwheat there, possibly if I get froggy as well, like using your word there.
Mm-hmm.
I might do some buckwheat there, because it needs a little bit of help.
Yeah,
I might just plow that all under, and it depends on what the soil sample comes back too. That's what's going to determine what I'm going to plant later.
Yeah,
what my soil sample says.
You're going to try to fix it up throughout the summer to get what you want for the fall.
Yeah, I'll get this sample back, and if it's looking a little low in the organic matter and CEC looking stuff on my test, I might throw some buckwheat in and build that up.
Yeah, and like my dad says here, he's
green manure.
Yeah, like he's saying, the rye grain and buckwheat. Now, Chris, we've talked about the buckwheat and the pollinators. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Daniel Berry, thanks for coming in.
Hi, Dan.
We're going to be planting trees here, and March 28th is the day we're going to pick up our trees, our pear trees and apple trees. So we may be planting this spring some buckwheat patches in areas of the food plots. Okay.
Oh yeah, we was talking about this. Yeah.
So like where we're planting the trees at, within about 50 or 80 yards of our trees, even if it's a patch of 30 yards by 30 yards, something that we're going to probably get some buckwheat seed, because they do attract the bees, and we want the pollinators in there. So we may, if we have the manpower to do it all, or I might just go down and do it myself one weekend. I may go down and either rotor till if needed just a little area and disc it up, break it up, and plant buckwheat. You're okay with planting buckwheat in May? Are you good with that?
As long as you don't get frost.
As long as you don't get frost.
Yep. As long as you don't have any frost on the way.
So basically, I should be planting that probably around the end of May then, just to be sure.
Yep.
Don't hurry that up as well.
Nope. Nope. Okay. I would, as a general rule, I'd say June 1.
June 1 for
just buckwheat. To be safe. Just to be safe. And the thing about buckwheat is, like I told you, you talked about maybe wanting to try it.
Yeah.
Buckwheat's really easy to grow. And same thing, rough up the dirt, spread the seed. The seed's a little bigger. It's triangular in shape. Get the seed in the ground. And I like to roll that stuff in, just to press it in.
Yeah.
And obviously it can be planted just a hair deeper than clover. It can withstand being a little bit deeper. But it's easy to grow. And what I had told you to do was plant it off to the side and just let it go wild.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just let it go, run its course, let it die on its own, whatever.
I like the idea of what you said about picking the seeds after too, though.
Yeah, well, buckwheat will mature 45 to 60 days, and you can actually go and run your hand up the seed head and get your own buckwheat seed, which is
for next year even.
Yeah, and you can put it back in a jug and you could reuse it for next year. Or you could just let it run wild and
let it reseed itself.
Let that seed drop and just let it reseed itself. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have on the edge of your plot somewhere out of the way. I mean, it's not exactly highly attractable to deer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
But that's not what you wanted it for. Anyhow,
no,
you
that's not
wanted it for the because it gets full of bees on those flowering heads.
Yeah,
and man, I had a whole field full of that buckwheat, and it was just like you can walk amongst them. I got in the plot with them, and it was just buzz. And they don't sting you or anything. They're just so busy on them little flowers working. Yeah. I mean, but you could just hear everything buzzing around you. And I love it. It's not only is it pretty, it smells nice. It's sweet to the smell.
Well, I think go ahead.
It's great to till back in. I go over it with the brush hog, cut it all down, and before the seed heads, if
you don't want them to regrow,
because I don't want them to regrow. When
you want to hit it in the milk stage, is correct? Is what it?
Yeah, I want to be able to squeeze that seed and make sure it's not hard yet.
Yeah.
If it's hard, you're too late. So you want to make sure the seeds are soft still when they start to form, and that's when you terminate it. So a lot of you see all that stuff on television with the crimper and all, but who has the money for a crimper? So I brush hog it down, and then that's when I disc it in.
And we're talking, guys, so you guys know, I have a tiller, a disc, and we have some spreaders and stuff like that, but we don't have all this big equipment like people, have. It's pretty much labor intense here. It ain't easy. Like we have a disc on the back of our tractor. We do have a rotor tiller, but you don't need all that. You know what I mean? You don't, if you have a disc, like you use your quad, what is that thing called on your quad?
I have a black bore.
Yeah, black
set of discs.
Yeah, so you don't need all this real fancy drills and equipment to do this. Like you guys have been seeing my Food Plus for the last couple of years, and we had minimal. Like we have, we've been getting some, we have a sprayer now, but that stuff, it doesn't cost much. And
when I first started, I started with a Groundhog Max on the back of the
my dad used to hand rotor till the food plot with a hand tiller. He would go up there with a rear tiller, and he would be up there for hours, and he would walk that tiller up there.
Yeah.
Drive it up there by walking it up there until everything by hand. That's going back some. And then when we got the tractor and we got the money for the discs or we got a tiller from some burrow that was getting rid of a tiller. So we got that. And then we got the disc just 2 years ago. We got the discs, the lamp discs.
People can go over to my channel and go back a couple.
Well, that's what I want people
5
to do.
years.
Yeah.
Go back 5 years or something and go back and look at how I used to do stuff. I used to do stuff with a 4-wheeler. I used to drag a pallet behind me with a bunch of big boulders on it.
Yeah.
And I drag that until
Yeah,
it
Dad.
tore
No more days
until
like
it
that.
tore out all the grass, and
Yeah.
it would get down to the dirt then.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have discs then.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
That
used
was
to
what you
just
had to do.
I drag that and just wear that grass out.
Yeah, you
And
can
then
get creative if you really want to.
I'd get down to the bare dirt. I'd throw the seed on top before it rained and walk away.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people raking grass with the hard rakes, raking the grass. Like you spray it with a backpack sprayer or even a pump sprayer. You spray a 40-yard wide, you take 10-yard increments. And when you're going backwards, I always recommend walking backwards when you're spraying, not spraying and walking forward, because you're walking through all the chemical. I like to go backwards. So you figure 5 to 8 yards in a spray pattern of you walking. You can do that 2 or 3 times and you can get 50 yards by 40 yards wide in no time. Let that go. Come back up there with a rake, and you can hand rake at, and you can spread clover seed on that. And you have a little clover plot by hand. I mean, there's so many things you can do. I don't recommend doing the throw and grows because people think that they're easier and it's nice, but I see a lot of rye grass in throw and grows because it turns green quick and grows. And I'm not a big fan of the ryegrass. I believe that's one of the worst things you can put in a food plot. And I think that ruins a food plot because it is green. Don't get me wrong. And it grows quick and it grows on anything. But just use the rye grain or use clover. That's all. If you want to go cheap.
Clover's king. I mean, it's cheap. It's easy to grow. And
so is rye grain. I mean, rye grain is $20 for a 40-pound bag.
All you got to do is hit the dirt with it.
Yeah.
As long as the dirt's touching it and you got rain in the forecast, it's going to come up.
Grow. And you're going to get some kind of food plot.
Even if you skip the soil test, which I do not recommend.
Yeah, you can do.
I've done it before. Even if you skip the soil test and you hit the dirt with a seed, and you got rain in the forecast, it'll splash dirt over that seed. It'll if the temperature of the soil is above 50, you're going to see germination in 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
So it's going to come up looking green. Now clover on the other hand, if it's perennial clover grows so slow. So don't go.
But it lasts longer. The slower growing clovers will last you years.
The perennials don't come back and looking for green for about 2 months because it's growing a root system before it's popping up.
Yes.
So
it's putting them nodules
it's
in
establishing.
The ground.
It's establishing, and you get a little bit of green coming out of the dirt.
But
you're going to see it, but you're not going to see any jump to it for a couple months.
Yeah, and I do recommend if you are going to plant like now and you're doing that and you're getting the clover out there and you see that clover growing, once they get the leaves on it, hit it with a foiler. Give it a jump, give it a little bump, you know what I mean, if you want. There's nothing wrong with giving it a bump or throwing some granules on that either once it starts growing. Yeah, but it takes a while.
I recommend, though, that it be 3 or 4 inches tall before you start doing that. So you don't burn it out.
I agree with you 100%. Now, Chris says he had a harrow and a seed planter before with a cast iron front wheel. That's some old days, buddy. You're showing your age right there. But yeah, my dad used to do that by hand, and he would be up there in that field all day tilling and moving rock and stuff like that. And our food plots, I mean, Dad, he worked his butt off, but we didn't have the food plots looking as good as we do now. We still had weeds in it. We didn't use chemical. We just tilled it. And to be honest with you, last year is the first year I used Glide, okay? And it made a desert out of our food. I loved it. It was awesome. And the years before that, I would just till. And then I would set that to, I would till 3 or 4 inches down. And then I'd put it on like a 2 or 1 inch and go over and chop it all up. And whatever grew through that grew. And I had some great looking food plots. I did, but I really wish we didn't have the drought last year, but I'm looking forward to this year. We're going to Glide again this year. We're going to have the liquid lime from Agritech, and then we're going to foiler spray. So I'm really anxious to see what happens this year. I will IMOX the clover after the spring comes, after it's established, I will IMOX that. But other than that, we've been lucky. We've had some really good food plots without spending a lot of money. So
Yeah.
if you guys have any questions, you could email me at tedpolanowskijr@gmail.com, or you can get over on Chris's channel at City Sticker Chris, and you could email us. Here's my email rate. What the heck did I do?
My
There's
emails
my
at
email.
my emails on my about page
Yeah, it's on your about
on
page. So
my
go to
my
Chris's
YouTube.
about page, and you could email me if you have any questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll ask Chris. And if we don't know the answer together, we will definitely research it for you. And Chris is really good at that researching part. I love to research things that I
Or
don't
just
know.
jump on one of my videos and ask the question.
Yeah. And I do ask you guys, if you are in here, go back to the videos, Chris's videos, especially. He does a lot of stuff. He has a lot of great information on his channel. Now they may be back a little further, but go back and look at that. I have some food plotting videos, and what I'm going to do this year, once I get time, is I'm going to actually take all my food planning videos and I'm actually going to put them on a playlist, and it's going to be a food plot playlist, so I can separate each item in my channel. I want to do that with I have like hunting, fishing, my live streams, everything is separated, but I have my food plot stuff on my hunting section, whereas I want to do just a food plot section. So I will be making a food plot playlist up on my channel. And Chris, I recommend maybe you do that too, and we'll talk about that.
I'm already done.
You're done already? Okay.
Yep.
Well,
my plots, my channel set up so that I have each year is hunts and food plots and others.
Yeah.
Podcasts, all that stuff.
If you
so they can go in and see yearly what I did each year.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's easy to find. So, and I want to do the food plots on my channel so people can just pop over. They don't have to scroll through my channel to find a food plot. They can go right to the playlist and boom, it's there. So I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks here as well as doing my thank you giveaway that I keep saying every time I'm on the live. But the thank you giveaway will be coming up soon here, guys, before bass fishing season, so you guys know. So Chris may be joining me on that, as well as Jason from JJ's Lifted Horizons helping me out on that as well. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel to be eligible for the thank you giveaway. It's going to be for subscribers only, so definitely go over and check that out once we start announcing that. I'll have some trout fishing coming up too. Indiana Chris just shared your channel.
Oh, great. Thanks, Chris.
So but now let's get into, Chris had a question earlier in the live here. Now let me go back to that real quick here.
Yeah.
Where is it at? Yeah, it's different root crops, inch decline. Okay, right here. This is the one that I want to touch on right here. And then you got to go because you got to get your beauty sleep.
Yeah.
So, okay. Ever had any milk or mold spores in plots or any blight? And Chris and I just have been talking about this, and you've been talking with your buddy for the last year. Yes. So go ahead and hit on that, Chris, and I will be right back.
So I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but we have been talking about this. I've been talking about it for over a year with some other guys, and no one really seems to know what it is, except for the obvious, is it's some kind of moss. And it seems to fill in between the clover. Anywhere there might have been a bare spot or like a rock was sitting or something, that it crept out from underneath the rock and kind of spread out a little. And, somebody said, well, that's because you got low pH or it's wet ground. No, I have it out in the middle of a field in my destination plots, and my pH is spot on. So that's not the case. And so what I'm thinking, now this is my opinion, I'm thinking that I've nuked everything with chemicals over there in the past, and I don't even get weeds in the plot except for two. I get a horse nettle and this one bunch grass. I think it's called barnyard grass, which is very chemical tolerant. I'm gonna have to spot spray those bunches when they pop. But I think, in my opinion, what it is since everything's been nuked and nothing else can grow, that's the only thing that can grow is this type of thing. And why it grows, I have no idea. Some people try to say that it's from compacted soils. What else? I'm trying to think what some other people had said. But anyhow, they think it's from shade and dampness and compacted soils, acidic soils. Uh, but that's not the case over in my plot. So uh, I'm not understanding where it's coming from, to be honest. So the only thing I could be guilty of is maybe compacted soil. So I'm not sure. But there again, when we talked earlier about what are we going to do to get planted, and Ted was saying he's going to disc like an inch or whatever. I had already talked to him about doing that. I think I'm going to scratch my surface up a little bit just to turn that moss over because it lifts off really easy. Like the other day, I was blowing leaves off the plot down below my house, and that mossy stuff was just it was turning over. Real, it was coming off the dirt. So it's not even grown down and attached to the dirt. It's just something that grows over top like a crust. Weird. You can actually take a rake and rake it off. Usually that's what I do every year. But now I'm getting older, wiser, and lazier. I'm not going to hand rake all that mossy looking stuff off. I'm just going to scratch it all up and then rake it, because it'll chop it. It'll chop it all up. So I haven't been watching the chat, so I need to read.
It's okay. I'm just throwing it up there. I'll ask the questions for you there, Chris. I'm thinking it is from compacting the soil all winter long from that snow load being on it. Nothing can grow because it's that weight is on there, and I'm gonna call it a moss, a true moss or something that's growing.
And can it hurt the plot? Well,
and then can it? Do you think that can hurt the plot?
I don't think it's necessarily hurting the plot, other than where it spreads out, it smothers whatever's in its way. So if it spreads out and gets around your clover, it's going
or on top of the seed, or on top of the seed as well. It
so
can shade
that's why I say it's grown in amongst the clover and filled in, and that's why I'm going to scratch mine all up.
Me too.
And get the dirt exposed, because that stuff has to be turned over and loosened up to get the seed to make soil to make contact with the soil.
And another thing, my dad had mentioned, fire will kill it off, and that's definitely a good possibility. But this year, Chris, we're doing a lot of we're gonna do a lot of hack and squirt in my dad's area behind his stand to try to get rid of some canopy to get some. We're not gonna drop all the trees because we don't have the manpower to remove the trees out once we drop them. So we're gonna drop a few trees, remove them, cut them up, season them for next winter. To heat the place, to have some economical value, to reuse our resources basically. Yeah. So we're going to do that this year, split it, season it and have it for next winter. But we don't have the manpower to be dropping multiple, 20 trees in an area and having to get it out of there. We just don't have the manpower to do that. So we're going to walk around. We're going to do a hack and squirt technique. Okay. And we're going to do it's one hatchet whack basically per 3-inch in diameter is what you want to go by. And I have this serum, the actual the Greg Harper cocktail is what they call it. Use the Greg Harper cocktail. Yeah. And we're gonna try that this year. We're gonna walk around.
What's he doing? A mix of Gly and Tordon?
It is triclopper. Whatever, just TRICO. It's Garland 3A. It's 50% of that. Okay. You're looking at 40% water. You're looking at Amazir for Arsenal AC.
Oh, geez.
Okay, that is 10%.
Where are you gonna find this crap?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Or you can go and you can get a herbicide. Let's see what this is called here. I have it all prepared for the live tonight.
I mean, you can hack and squirt with Gly.
Yeah, you can do that for sure.
And there's one called Tordon too.
And then there's another one. It says it's the Pathway. It's called Pathway. You can get it from Chemical Warehouse, but the Pathway is a little bit watered down, so you have to use more of the Pathway because you got to go. The cambium layer on the tree is what you want to penetrate and get that in that cambium layer.
Yeah.
And they say that you want to hack and squirt when the sap is going down to the roots, not moving up. Okay. So in the June, July area time frame is when everything is moving down to the roots for the
Gotcha.
root system. And then after that, when it's starting to get towards winter, like you don't want to do it at the end of summer because the sap is going back up into the tree and you want this to go to the root to kill it. So you want to do it in June, July, maybe August the latest. But hack and squirt every 3-inch diameter. You want to spray this. And another good thing you can do is you can actually put a blue dye in your spray, so you know that you got it when you're going through. So it's it's not as labor intensive as using chainsaws and getting them down and getting them out of there, because you figure when you fell a tree, you have to remove all the branches from that as well to get it out of there in a decent, or you're going to have a mess on your wood floor, which is going to cover it up.
I like to girdle and spray.
People, like my dad was talking about that, go around.
I like to go around with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
like a foot apart from each other. Put a girdle up top, girdle broad, and then spray it. Yeah, that works out real good.
And we're thinking too, for labor wise, we can get a group of guys with a hatchet and a spray bottle and go around, and we could do 30, 40 trees in a few hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's not as labor intensive as firing up the chainsaws and doing everything. So
no, you're right.
But there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think
for bigger tree, I would girdle.
Yeah, so you can do that as well. You know what I mean? So that we're going to try to get rid of that. We are going to do some hinge cutting, but we're not going to do a lot of hinge cutting. I was thinking the process over, talked with Josh from Whitetail Driven Solutions. We're going to do a little bit of hinge cutting, because hinge cutting, guys, once you hinge cut, you'll have food in the area. You'll take about 2 years
too.
Yeah, and then if they start growing, they're going to go straight up to the sun. So they're going to perform a smaller canopy, they'll create a smaller canopy that will still shade out the ground, and you won't get any growth. So if you do the hack and squirt method or the girdling, you create that. In a few years, they'll either fall, or you go back in and fell the tree after a couple years once you see it's dead. Create that fall, get that wood out of there, or you let the wood dry up, turn to dirt eventually, or whatever, rot and go away. But one thing that I did want to say, and then we're going to hang it up because it's getting late. We've been on for an hour, and I got to go get my beauty rest here. So does Chris. He has to get his teddy bear and go to bed, put his jammies on. But Deer Corner said Widowmakers. They will make Widowmakers if you're not careful, but you got to do some work after you do the hack and squirt. You can't just squirt them, let them stay there, and then go hunt around the area.
Oh, that's why they call it a TSI plan. I mean,
yes,
you just don't do something and walk away. I mean, you've got to maintain stuff after.
Yeah. So if you go in and hack and squirt and just ignore it, then you're already in the wrong. So you shouldn't do that at all. I don't recommend you do that at all. You have to have a plan for later on, a year later, when you see those trees that are dead, take them down. If they're not in your area and you're not worried about them, then you can let them fall themselves. But there's nothing wrong with going in, hatting them with a chainsaw and just knocking them over and then using them as firewood, or let them lay in areas. But what I wanted to recommend to you guys, if you have your food plot, and I think we're going to do that this year, we have a lot of trees that we're going to be getting out of there. We're going to drag them to the middle of our food plot, and we're going to light them on fire, and we're going to let them burn. And then we're going to spread all that ash and everything out on the food plot in areas, just spread it out with rakes or whatever. But we're going to have a fire in our food plot, and it's really close to it's opened, obviously, because of a food plot. You don't want to do it on a dry day. Obviously, be smart about it, guys. Don't just go out there and light the woods on fire. And be careful. Make sure you have some people on hand. Make sure you have your rakes, maybe a backpack with a sprayer with water. Light the fire in the middle of your food plot. Let that burn down.
You're creating free potash.
Yeah, we're using our resources that we have that we're taking out of the woods, but we're putting it right back into the woods. That's the whole idea. We're trying to do that and create something for that year and the next year, like you do. When you plant this year, you're planning for next year.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind, guys. Brush piles, drag them to the middle of your food plot if they're not too far away. If you're doing work there, we're going to be doing work 50 yards away from our food plot, sometimes 20 yards right off of our food plot. Drag it into the middle of your food plot. Put a couple fire bundles around and light them all up and spread it out. Like if you want one big one and you have the means to spread the whole big pile out, go ahead and do that. If not, make smaller fire piles that you can handle and just spread them out in your food plot and burn them and let that create the potash, and you're good. And then you're like creating your NP and K, Chris. You're creating all that. You plant your clover to get the nitrogen. You're adding your potash. So you're adding all that stuff for free by doing some planting and taking the stuff out of your woods that's right there, dragging it over to here and using that resource right there. And there you go.
Yep.
So that's the whole idea of all that.
Hey, free's better. I like
free is better, guys. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And
okay,
Chris,
guys.
Thank you for getting on so quickly. But I did want to get this food plot, this frost seeding out there and get some information. But we will be doing more food plot lives here coming up soon. Turkey season's coming up, guys. Trout season's coming up. So we're going to be busy. Chris is going to be getting busy, hopefully, out there. I'm thinking of doing a meet up with Chris, maybe at his place, and then he is going to try to make it down my place, and we're going to go walk our properties, and I'm going to give you my opinions and his opinions, and we're going to take each other's advice to maybe help each other on our own plots to improve it and make it better for hunting for all of us. So I thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Make sure you're going over to City Sticker Chris's channel. If you haven't subscribed to Chris or myself, make sure you're going over there, subscribe, share our channels out to your friends. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Chris's email is in his about page. My email is always in my description of my videos as well. So don't be afraid to do that. We enjoy talking about this. We love doing this stuff. I get excited this time of year every year when we start planting and doing some things, and we're doing a little bit of different things down there this year. So it's going to be very exciting. I'll be bringing you lives from us doing that, and I'll be making videos. So thank you all for coming in, Chris. Appreciate you, buddy.
No problem.
Good night, and thanks for coming in. And like I always say, guys, take a kid fishing or hunting. We're going to preserve our sport and pass it on to future generations, and we will see you. Boom!
See you.
And we're back. I always do my